in your experience, have you found that it's easier to get guys to focus in for the next week after a tough win where there's a lot of apparent things to work on, or just one of the many other times you've scored 77 points in a game?
No, I just think it depends on your team's personality, and each year your team's personality is different, and this team is trying to bring its own personality, and we constantly talk about every week it's got to be the way we play, and we really stress that to our guys. It can't be about our opponents. It can't ever be about our opponents. It's got to be about us. And every time we take the field, we got to go out and see how good we can be, and try to be the very best we can be. And it don't matter what happened the game before. Usually when we play that game, we move on because there's nothing we can do about that game in the past. But each and every week's going to be different, and we just try to be better than what we were the week before. Did I answer your question? All right.
Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Hi. You faced Nebraska your first game as head coach of
Western Kentucky. You brought that up.
Technically Aaron. But yeah.
Right.
Does that come into your head at all coming into this week against Nebraska?
I thought about it, that had a chance. I mean, as a head coach, we played there, and I actually saw a picture of me and my son, Willie Jr., and he was so small then, and now he's taller than I am. But that's about it. It was, again, my first game as a head coach. It was in Nebraska and Lincoln, and great environment, but that's about it. It just now it's about this year's Nebraska team, and they got a new coach, new players, and then they come to Oxford. We don't go to Lincoln, so that's about it.
Coach Mike Riley was a big figure here in the state of Oregon for college football for a long time. I know you were in the Pac-12 for a little bit not long ago. What do you know about Coach Riley? What's your relationship like with him? And his return to Autzen is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be following this week.
I know Coach Riley is a good football coach, well respected, and across the country, whether it's college or pros. I know he had a chance to coach Harbaugh when he was in San Diego. Coach Riley was his coach, and then again, being in the Pac-12 and playing Oregon State, they had a good team back then, and he's won a lot of ball games. His team's going to be well coached. They're going to be physical, and it's going to be a battle, and yeah, he's coming back to the state of Oregon. He's been here, I think, about 16 years or something like that, or whatever, 14, 16 years as a coach. So I think that's big. But he was a coach in Corvallis, not in Eugene.
It's early in the week, but do you have any kind of updates on the availability of guys like Lana, Khalil, or Juwan, who kind of got dinged up in the game?
They were beat up yesterday, but I think they'll be back this week. We heal differently around here. They'll be ready to go.
Kristen, on the right.
This is kind of in the same vein as Preston's question with Mike Riley, but when you were at Stanford and he was head coach over at Oregon State, what did you see out of his team? How would you kind of define his coaching style and what you saw out of his teams, and do you feel like you're seeing the same thing at Nebraska now?
Again, they were physical. They were pro style. They were very similar to what we were at Stanford, other than we had a lot of different shift and motion and things that we did there, but they were a physical football team, wanted to run the ball and did a good job off of play action on offense and defense. They were talented, very talented. We always played a tough game. When I was at Stanford, we played at Oregon State. It was always tough playing those guys. Now I know they have a different defensive coordinator now, so that part was different, but they were always well coached. And they was always ready to play.
Willie, have you heard from any of your special friends, former players like the Harbaughs after Saturday's game? And if so, what were some of those conversations?
Text message, and it was great first win. Way to start the season off. That's pretty much it.
Who was that?
Coach Harbaugh, Jack Harbaugh. And Jim and I text each other, great game, congrats. And I got one from John Harbaugh saying congrats, way to start the season. Got one from Tom Crean saying congrats, way to start the season. Got a lot of those.
Back right,
Back to Nebraska. Arkansas State gave them a run for their money on Saturday. Did anything jump out from that game, their opener?
Yeah, that Nebraska is big. They're strong, and they won the ball game. And Arkansas State they played well. They played Nebraska tough, but just from watching it, I didn't necessarily think that Arkansas State took control of the game. I always thought that Nebraska was in control of the game throughout the game, but Arkansas State played them really tough and did some good things to help them be successful in that ball game. So, but Nebraska won.
Different year, different teams, obviously. But have you guys found any value in watching the game film from last year's Nebraska tape? And if so, is that kind of a tough one for the guys to watch because of how winnable that game ended up being?
We haven't watched that with our players. We watched it earlier back in the spring. We watched that game, but things are different. Their offense is different. Their defense is different. We watched it, kind of look at the personnel, look at our guys and play, but not necessarily anything to help us with this upcoming season. It's so much different for both teams.